Welcome back to Rounding the Bases Extra Innings. 4 final questions with Chaz Wolfe. Check out the audio version of the podcast. It can be found wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or wherever that might be. 4 final questions. We talked about the beginning of your business career in franchising. I always think anytime an entrepreneur takes that leap, that big leap, it can be a very scary thing. Everybody has different tolerances, but you were a young guy jumping into edible arrangements.
Yeah.
What was the mindset? How scary was it? Or were you so young that you didn't know any better?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so the leap, let's just talk about that for a half second, because it's absolutely right. You mentioned my show, Gathering the Kings. I ask this often as far as like about taking that leap. And hundreds of very successful business owners mention the leap. And then also the mindset of continuing to take leaps. And so I just wanted to make that point for your listeners, because it's so important. It's not just one leap. But going back to that moment, I was 24 years old. I was already in 6 figures, multiple years. College dropout. I got into sales. I figured out communication. I figured out how to help people, and then even lead a team. And so I was a sales manager for an advertising company, making great money as a 24-year-old. I owned my own home. My wife was a dental hygienist. Like, for all intents and purposes, we were crushing, right? And so I had this crazy idea of leaving corporate America and leaving my awesome job and benefits and all this stuff and buying a business. And so I looked actually for about 18 months, and I looked at everything. Like, you name it, I've looked at it. I've looked at furniture. I've looked at franchising. I've looked at smoothies. I looked at edible. I looked at, you name it, I've probably looked at it. And so that moment for me was, I needed an opportunity. I needed something that I knew that I could just really get in and own, because in corporate America, although I was doing wonderful and well and made a lot of money or whatever, people liked me, I knew that it wasn't the end. It wasn't the fulfillment piece that entrepreneurship or owning the whole thing could give me. So yes, it was scary. I gave up a lot of money, a lot of certainty, benefits for my family, the whole deal. But I don't know in that moment if I had a ooh, don't jump. In fact, I remember a guy, you know him. He referred me to you. He said, dude, what if they stop buying fruit? What happens if people stop buying fruit? I said, you know what? I guess I would, obviously I'd have to close, and probably go back to work in sales. I'd pay off the loan, and I'd probably do it again. So like that, I was already calloused to failure, let's just go. Is what my thought was.
Failure is a tough one too, and an important one. That's why I tell my audiences that the beauty of baseball is, one, it's every day. It's very relatable. And two, while I don't encourage anybody to fail 70% of the time and be successful like a baseball hitter, you better know how to handle failure. And that's the greatest lesson there. Okay, second question. Gathering the Kings every day. That's a lot of episodes, which means you've already had a ton of people and a ton more to go.
Yep.
Bucket list, ideal. You could have one guest. Who would it be?
Well, I mentioned Patrick Mahomes earlier just because obviously the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, and that would be awesome. He's in Kansas City. I think that'd be cool. I don't want to not say him, but that would be pretty cool. The real answer probably would be, I got a couple business moguls that I think would be pretty cool. Of course, an Elon Musk, or even like a Mark Cuban. Some of those guys I think would be pretty cool to dissect business with on my show. So.
My two, business would be Cuban, but there are a lot of others. But I just the personality and he's just unique, I think. Yep. And Charles Barkley on the sports side.
Ooh, yeah, totally.
There's just not a better personality in maybe anything, because he's not afraid to say what's on his mind, and
that's right.
He's always immune. Like he can get away with stuff that not everybody can, because he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He's one of the best personalities of all time, and he's good for the game. I'm not even a huge NBA fan, but I always want to watch when he's on, because it's highly entertaining.
Yeah.
So that brings me, unintended segue, but one that works out very well, to my third question. You had a bit of a basketball career, or at least a lot of success as a teenager. Hey, come on, you were traveling around the world playing some basketball. Tell me about your game.
A little bit. Yeah, no, I'm 6'5". I was 6'2" in high school. I played a 3 and a 4 position. I got quick feet, but I was skinny as they come. So Yeah, I did play for a couple of weeks in Australia and New Zealand, and actually tore my quad over there. But yeah, basketball was very, very close to, I mean, the intensity that was developed in my family, and just my sister played, and my mom and my sister and I, we were just a little unit, and my grandma was kind of in that mix as well. But they were at everything, every game, every tournament. It was every weekend, practice every day. I remember 5 a.m. I'm 14 years old, 5 a.m. running stairs. Just the intensity of what athletics can bring is I'm sure a lot of segue that I've gotten into business. I haven't touched a basketball in a long time though, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, like I said, in terms of leverage, that's probably not one that makes a lot of sense at this
That's right.
point for you. You got enough going on, which leads me to my walk-off question. I have yet to hear a serial entrepreneur say, "Yep, I'm done. I'm good." So, what is next? I'm not looking for specifics unless you have
Yeah.
some, but I've got to imagine that you're thinking bigger.
Yeah. Well, so first off, we're on a mission with Gathering the Kings for 1,000 kings. We are gathering 1,000 kings. And we are going to do that by the New Year's Eve party of 2026. So we've got 3 years to gather 1,000 members in Gathering the Kings, and that's 7 and 8 figure business owners. And so this is not just any business owner. These are high level, high thinking, home service, commercial construction, tech, real estate, you name it. We've got all of those things represented. And so that's what's next for Gathering the Kings and for me. But inside of that, even, I mean, coming up here in a couple months, I'm doing a very first thing. We're doing a family mastermind cruise. We're cruising from New York
Mm,
City to Bermuda. And there's this idea of saying, okay, look, as an entrepreneur, we struggle in a lot of things of what a lot of people call balance. And I just think balance is a ridiculous word. We should crumple it up, throw it away. And what I do know is intensity and obsession. And so I'm just going to try to be obsessed with my business, with my wife, with my family. And so we're just trying to curate an environment where people can do that. And so literally family vacation, but then inside of this beautiful and wonderful cruise, there's going to be other high performing families. And I'm bringing in some experts around marriage and around parenting and family. And of course, we're going to have business talks. And we're just kind of trying to do all three of these things together in the same environment. We're going to see how that goes. But that's something brand new that's coming up as well.
I love it, and I knew that you would have something and a lot of things, and I know you'll hit those goals too because you won't stop. So
That's right.
that's the way that you're wired. Again, everybody, check out the audio version of the podcast. Check out Gathering the Kings, Chaz's podcast. If you start today, you might finish eventually because there's a lot there, but that's good. That means a lot of resources, a lot of learning opportunities, a
That's
lot of
right.
chance to stimulate the thought process, the growth process, and much, much more. Chaz, again, I appreciate it. Love doing this.
Joel, you've been incredible. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.